Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I'm so happy you're here. If you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're joining us for this incredible episode. We love to talk about the intersection of spirituality, art, and human consciousness. And today is no exception because we are diving into a fascinating project that bridges the mundane and the miraculous. Get ready, fasten your seatbelts, because we have two incredibly artistic guests joining us, wild and wonderful friends of ours, friends of the podcast as well. You could go back into our archives and listen to past interviews with Spiros and Antonopoulos and Barry Silver. They would be separate episodes, but let me tell you a little bit about them. Spiros and Antonopoulos, he is a master of sacred practices whose legendary masala chai has touched the lives of countless seekers from the Beastie Boys to Gwyneth Paltrow, and is an incredible human with a lot of wild and wonderful experiences. We mention a few of them in this conversation. And he's just into esoteric, occult arts and practices and astrology, and really looking into what is consciousness and what affects our minds and the way we see the world and our consciousness. And so you can imagine where we're going to go. We don't know. And then Barry Silver, who is also just a fascinating human, a conceptual artist, and a yogi, also a well-known Ashtanga yoga teacher in the global community. Although he's not currently teaching Ashtanga yoga, he's immersed in his art, and his work draws from his deep well of indigenous wisdom, as well as his own personal history and autobiography, and his time spent in India, as well as Eastern philosophy. And together they created this project. I think it was 20 years ago was the first time that they went to the Ganges and sanctified shirts and sold these shirts. And it's called Gently Down, From the Mundane to the Marvelous. And it's really about consecrating mundane objects and turning them into sacred talismans, sacred objects that hold a spiritual power, a spiritual symbol, but also imbibing them with the essence of sacredness and magic, and creating something to become a vessel to hold sacred intention and energy that then you can take with you, right? How do we alchemize something that is normal or mundane and turn it into something that is sacred and special? And so this is really our conversation today that we're getting into, exploring the power of alchemy and consecration and the marriage of artistic expression with timeless traditions, and the profound journey of spiritual awakening that occurs when we dare to see the divine in every day. So get ready for this wonderful conversation that will challenge your perception of the ordinary, and I hope inspire you to find the sacred in unexpected places. And if you would like to know more about their project, if you would like to contribute or you can have remote prayer invocation. You can send that to them and they will take it to the holy men in India. They're right now, as we speak, at the Kumbh Mela site. They're just in Varanasi, just a little bit away from the Kumbh Mela, but they have the Bathed, Beaten, and Blessed limited edition t-shirts, as well as these beautiful silver altar medallions. They're going to bring back holy Ganga water that's supercharged with a Rudraksha seed. There's many offerings that they're doing. It is an act of taking themselves and consecrating themselves, as well as these sacred objects, and then bringing them back to you, imbibed with power and intention. So there's many ways you can participate in this project, and it's a fascinating project. It's a beautiful project, and I can't wait to tell you more about it here in this conversation today. So let's jump in. Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. We are here today with two very, very special people, Spiros and Barry. Hello, my friends.
Welcome. Those of you who are fans of the podcast, super fans out there, you both have listened to both of these podcasts. They're extremely entertaining and out there. And that's what we love about these guys, is that they will say anything and we no idea what they will say. Spiro, speaking of which, you're in San Francisco? You live there?
I'm in San Francisco now. It's been my home. It's where I have a constant address for decades. But I was just in Chicago caring for my father, which is sort of out of nowhere a swoop into Chicago and sort of family life and dealing with karmas that arise when you see hardship befallen to your father. And he's like, is this myself? Or I can see the genetics and I can see those weird idiosyncrasy patterns, those gestures that you do, I also do. What are the roots? Are they the same or different? It's been challenging and also compassionately helpful.
Yeah, wow. That's a big stage in life, isn't it?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, he wrecked his car for the second time this year at March. He had already done a second accident. And my sister was overwhelmed with family and stuff like that. So I was pulled in, came out of Costa Rica where I was teaching yoga, and started this whole new life of contemplation and care for the father who had lost memory, couldn't complete a thought at first. And then we went through the process of him sort of recalibrating and coming back. And I talk to my father like once a year for the past decades. Wow. So it's been a lot of sort of re-acknowledgement of that. So that was part of what brought me to my current project also, which is about the light and the star and going for hope and inspiration above the river. Yeah.
And you're doing that with Mr. Barry Silver, who's, I think, your mother killed your father, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, she didn't kill my dad, but I think I might have told you the story that my mother used to say on their wedding anniversary. She's like, I could have killed him 30 years ago and I would have been out of prison by now.
Yeah. And better off for it.
My mom, she's one of my favorite people. She's one of the funniest people right now.
And where are you joining us from, Barry? Where on the planet
I'm in San Francisco also.
Are you in the same house?
No. I'm in a trailer park in kind of like probably the coolest trailer park you've ever seen. By chance, life brought me to San Francisco a couple of months ago. I'm doing a residency, an art residency here. I also attended a 1-week program out in Petaluma, which is a really deep dive 1-week drop-in, which was a dynamic experience, a place called the Hoffman Process. And so that all kind of aligned. And by chance, it happens to be Spiros' primary abode. And so now we're both here. And so I've had an opportunity. I've been doing did a really fun on-site project. And there's Airstreams and trailers, and each one was allotted to a different artist to submit different designs. So of course I submitted some. It's like a really kitschy, like the Barry Lama Bollywood honeymoon suite, like mid-century. It's really funny, and it came out really good. I'm very pleased with that. So the last few months, I've been here. The trailer I'm staying in right now is called the Wabi Bari trailer, and it's built out in this funky Japanese style, which of course I feel very much at home at after living in Japan for 7 years. And teaching a Mysore style Ashtanga yoga program there. You see how I work that in?
Good job.
I ran an Ashtanga yoga program in San Francisco. Not once did Spiro ever call me. I had to go to LA to see him.
You were at Zitter.
Zitter? What Zitter?
Fill us in, dear.
The Twitter.
I think the DMT is kicking in.
The Twitter.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, the Zitter. I get it.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Xylophone. I speak Mayan, so it's shitter. The X is
oh
the
my
S-H.
goodness, shitter.
Shitter.
They just shut that place down. I taught at Shitter for like a year, and I opened up a Mysore program in the Shitter.
Yep. And I used to go to the ritual probably underneath your building.
So you guys were smoking DMT together, snorting it, and then you came up with a project.
I have gone hunting for toads before it was illegal, before it was known. And I was in the DMT movies that made Mr. Rogan what he is today. However.
Wow, yeah. That's subversive karma right there.
It is why his podcast is so popular.
So you're both artists, even though you didn't start off maybe that way, or maybe you did. Maybe it was always your destiny. What do you think?
Life is art. It's all creativity. So I didn't start really making art until my adult life. And throughout my career as a yoga teacher, art was always the side hustle. I bought a little blank journal on my first trip to India in 2001 or 2002. And I intended to do some writing and journaling. And I ended up just cutting and pasting found objects. And for the next 10, 12 years, that just became my vehicle of expression and chronicling my life. And then when I was living in Tokyo, I started a t-shirt brand, and little by little, it started to take on more space. And it was just like always really therapeutic. I was never thinking of doing it to become a professional artist. But the last few years, from like yoga teacher artist, it's kind of like the balance has shifted. Now I'm more of an artist yoga teacher and been doing various projects and kind of conceptual stuff one by one. People always ask me what style I do. It's just whatever comes to me. I'm more about like having an idea and wanting to express that in whatever that material form is of expression, whether it's building out a trailer or my dad was a printer, so I love making printed matter. I've done a series of self-published books around my collages, around other projects. And Spiros and I, back in the old days, in the early 2000s, at Ashtanga Yoga New York, our yoga teacher Eddie Stern's school in Soho, Spiros ran the Sri Ganesha chai tea stall, which became the hub of our downtown yoga community and also the base for us to do a series of conceptual art projects. And we were doing a lot of screen printed T-shirts. That was really an inspiration from Eddie, who had been doing T-shirts much of his life. And then that spawned the Gently Down projects, which we will discuss further.
I mean, the chai shop was like a performance art type thing.
Indeed.
Let's put a pin in that. I want to ask a question about that. I just want to say that Barry, for me, was like incredibly terrifying. His voracious appetite for work and how effortless and chic and fucking bonkers cool and hip it was for someone like me who was like a fucking classical painter. Like a neoclassical painter, and like I'm looking at this, like I'm so lame, and like you look at you go through one of these journals and you fucking find yourself in one of them. It's like, oh, that's me. They're so textural and they're just awesome, and I've always been terrified of Barry's work because it really cements how unimportant I am. And
I have a Barry Silver original. You know, when I had my appendix out in India, you asked for the photograph of my staples.
Yeah.
And then you cut them out and you made a collage with the staples as your mouth.
Yes, I remember coming to see you guys. You were staying up on that second floor apartment at that time, I think. No? Yeah. I remember it was right around the corner from the Shala. That was many moons ago. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate hearing that.
I'm terrified of the guy too.
Yeah, you should be.
Terrified.
You should be. It's really funny, our relationship, because we drive each other crazy. We do. We drive that. And in the previous projects we've done, so we've done a lot of smaller projects, but this is, we're going to talk about a project what's coming up called Gently Down. And we do this. We've done two projects called Bathe, Beat, and Blessed at the Ganges River, one in the Himalayas in 2005, then again in Varanasi in 2015. And Spirit called me like 6 months ago, and he's like, hey, it's been 10 years. It's time to go again. And the Kumbh Mela is happening. And as soon as he said it, it was like, we have to go. Like we kind of have, it's part of our sadhana. It's not just the art, the performance and the business. True. It's become part of our spiritual path. And we're like, okay, we should spend some time together to see if we could even tolerate each other, because part of the kitsch of the performance art is the kind of comedic friction between the two of us. Okay, it was fun in 2005, cute in 2015. Now it's just we're just old and grumpy at this point. We really even want to hang out with each other, and we're still the jury's out. We kind of tolerate each other, but we also the deep love that we have for each other kind of outweighs any of the kind of personality stuff.
So the performance art piece is almost it's a stand-up routine that you're doing at the table.
Indeed. But part of the project is the friction.
Well, it's how we can maintain the intensity of the ritual. It's just because we do stand up to take an edge off of it a little bit. In 2005, I stopped talking. It became a mountain.
Oh my God. Oh
I just couldn't handle Barry so much. I just took a vow of silence in the middle of the project.
Insane. We were hiking in the Himalayas. I was throwing rocks at him. I was so mad at him that he decided to take a vow of silence for 48 hours while there wasn't a time when we needed to communicate more. And then it all melted away when Spiros got frostbite from going in the Ganges River at a glacier at the source of the river, and I had to cover him in blankets and hug him until warm him. No, ridiculousness.
Did you lose any digits?
Mental digits.
Lost some brain cells.
May I talk about the concept?
Yeah.
So the project, the overall umbrella project, we call ourselves Gently Down. And these projects are called Bathe, Beat, and Blessed. We take 108 shirts to the Ganges River. We have them bathed in the river to remove all its past karmas and impurities. We have them washed and beaten against the rocks to get rid of any residue that might be left behind. And then we take them to a temple or temples to have various blessing ceremonies done to them. And so the idea is to take what might be considered a mundane object and through a series of rituals and ceremonies, transform it into a talisman. And we also go through this bathe, beat, and blessed process. And we go with the sincere intention to be as proxies for the 108 people who are receiving the shirts. And we're having a few different items this time. And also for the greater good of all humanity. So, there's a comedic aspect and it's us, but we also there's a very sincere foundation to the process. Spiros, want to add some stuff?
Firstly, Gently Down is from the obvious gently down the stream. So the stream is Ganga, the stream is life, and that is the root of it. And the gentleness is the hammer of gentleness. We try to be fierce, but we also be gentle. And in this case, I was thinking at the beginning of summer that it is the tower. The tower is happening, the tower in the tarot cards. The tower is a card number 16 in the major arcana. It has to do with things crumbling, the big towers, the big empires crumbling. And that empire is all around us, is in the world, is in government and corporations, but it's also within ourselves and the structures that we use in our own ideas of ourselves. Can you guys hear me? It's frozen again.
2024, Spiros, you can't get internet?
The internet
You're the one in the trailer, Barry. This doesn't make any sense at all.
But San Francisco, I think the internet's bad, and you're probably in a clear spot with the trailers, the flat spot, not in the hills.
I would think here in tech-savvy San Francisco, the internet would be
right?
banging. All right, good. I'm actually glad he's gone. I was getting a little bored with this guy.
But you did a tarot deck yourself, Barry.
I did a tarot deck myself, so I do have some connection with the story of the tarot. and it makes perfect sense. And actually, wait, let me see if I have my deck here.
I don't know, you guys. I thought it was solid here, but it's totally not. So what
It
can
was
we do
kind of
now?
solid. We heard the first part. So let's let Spiros finish the second part.
It's just saying that, externally there's towers and structures that are crumbling, and we see that in the news and all that stuff. But internally, we have ideas about ourselves that are also harder and harder to uphold and are also crumbling. And so these mutual things are happening within ourselves and within our relationships to others. And so the idea is, within the crumbling, how do we find something new? How do we find something?
Spiros, both your video and your audio are roboting out. You're freezing.
You know what? Spiro, turn off your video.
Maybe that'll work. Oh, look at Barry brought out his tarot, the star and the tower.
One of the first paintings I ever saw was my dad made a painting of the star for my mom, and I loved it because it was the first time I'd ever seen a naked woman, and I was really, really jazzed by the painting that my dad made.
It is the card of hope and faith, and nudity.
Strangely, none of those except nudity were in my parents' marriage. But
oops.
A lot of nudity, though.
This is the part of the conversation where we completely lost Spiros into the ether. But don't worry, he does come back. But we're picking up the conversation, refocusing on the Gently Down project, which you are going to love hearing about and exploring more. And don't worry, we'll get back to the tarot and the deeper cosmic dimensions soon.
So I have your shirt from 2015, and so do you.
2005.
You have 2005?
2005 was the long sleeve brown shirt.
I don't have that one.
I have that one.
You have that one?
Yeah.
2015 was the skull theme, the skeletons with the
Yeah,
heart.
I like that. Yeah.
I have that one too.
But this has a very unique logo. Let's see. Okay.
Yes, we actually, for the first time in the previous one, Spiros and I did all the artwork, but this time we collaborated with a friend named David D'Andrea from Samaritan Press. He did the Ganga design, the Devi Ganga, pouring from the Kumbh pot, the three rivers, because we're going to be doing the project around the Kumbh Mela, which is happening in Prayagraj, the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati rivers. And then the sigil design, Spiros and I came up with, we wrote out our intention in a domed Masonic, is it a Masonic temple, Spiros?
It's a theosophy place. It's the first,
Theosophical Society.
Yes,
it was the first ideal spot that they made in Hollywood Hills. They eventually moved up north of there, but in the early 1900s, they had this dome, and this was their like secret little place. They had a temple also right next door, and a friend of ours had rented this dome area and was restoring it, and so we went there to do our sigil.
Yeah, we wrote out our intention and then came up with this is the visual design that came out that holds our prayer and our intention for the project, which is called Bathed, Beaten, and Blessed.
For some of our listeners at home, could you explain what a Kumbh Mela is?
The Kumbh Mela, it happens in India. It's been going on for eons. It happens once every 12 years. And it migrates between 4 different locations. It rotates each 12 years. It's in a different location. And it's a confluence. People have seen images of it. It's predominantly the Naga Babas, all covered in ash with the dreadlocks. And they meet at the Ganges River during this astrological confluence. All the properties of the bathing in the river are elevated and amplified at that time. And last Kumbh Mela, 2013, right, 12 years ago, it's a 40-day period where the festival takes place. They say it was the largest gathering of humans in the history of mankind. They estimated 120 million people came to bathe in the Ganges during that 40-day period. So this year it'll be taking place in an area called Prayagraj, which is just theoretically just like 2 or 3 hours from Varanasi, where we'll be based. But during the Mela time, it's getting to and from could be a bit of an adventure. So we're going to be doing it around in the proximity of the Mela, and also dipping into the festival and taking the shirts and a few other items to go through this process of being bathed, beaten, and blessed. Spiros, you want to explain that process?
I mean, we're basically consecrating the pieces by taking them through a process ourselves and through the process within the pieces and clearing the spaces, pulling in the stars and the grahas and asking for a little wiggle room, and pulling in the deities that are around, the deities of the rivers, and then asking for the best of intentions, the North Star, the Venus star, the brightest light that we have, with the views that we can hold and the inspirations that we can share with our fellow folks. And that's the sort of weaving that we do. That's the tantra that we're imbuing and that we're sharing with our friends. We're sharing light, and that's the main intention. I wanted to talk a little bit about the image that David made, because it's based not only on images of Devi, of the Ganga Devi, but it's also based on the classic images of the star in the tarots by Pamela Coleman Smith. And that's why there's a pot. The pot is also our body. And there's a monster that Ganga Ma, the Devi, rides. It's a monster. It's a crocodile, or in this case, it's more psychedelic. It's more about the monsters that we see in our life. And in some sense, it's like the tumbling of all the monsters and all the like towers that we carry, that we see. And then Ganga Ma, she rides it. She is like, that's her ride, is that which is tumbling. And she gets on it and she rides it. And so we're trying to bring those type of feelings to the pieces that we share with others.
And I mean, you have a great knowledge of Jyotish or Vedic astrology. And Barry, you created your own tarot deck. And it seems to me that you're combining these things when you're talking about the tower card and the star card and this tumbling of authority and structures of, I guess, hierarchy, and this coming of the light and the inner star and the inner light that we all have. And this very special time in, I think, history in astrology, where maybe you can explain it. I think Pluto shifted into Aquarius, or something's shifted into Aquarius, and now we're liberated. I don't know. Tell us.
There's different structures. I mean, in India and for Jyotish, we mostly follow sidereal astrology. So it's about 23 degrees earlier through the precession of the equinoxes. Nonetheless, Pluto, which is a relatively newly discovered star or planet, is opposing Mars in this case. And so that's going to be part of the tensions that are arising. But Kumbh Mela itself really happens when the sun enters Capricorn. And then there's a secret or a nakshatra that's only used for ritual that happens a few days after sun enters into Capricorn. And that's when the real rituals of transformation occur. And that's why all these sadhus and not yogis and various people are going to be cleansed of their sins and of their struggles, and to be rinsed and anew, in a sense. And so we wanted to tap into some of that.
Okay, so if I were to purchase your shirt, because I really love it and I want one, and you also have like these pendants as well, I saw.
Yeah. So did we talk about the bathe, beat, and bless process?
Well, no. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to invest in your project. And what happens?
It's multi-levels, right? So the idea is really by the item that you get is really just a keepsake to memorialize and symbolize your participation in the project. We make the shirts.
Oh, it's not just it's active. It's active. It's part of the weaving. The weaving continues it's like a participatory thing. Like when you're carrying this around, you're not wearing something that you bought at a store or something. You're actively living the dream of inspiration. You're calling it forth in a sense. You're one of us. We're talking to each other.
And you said that you're essentially making it a talisman. What does that mean? How do you do that? Oh yeah, those are amazing.
It's upside down, Spiros.
Well, there's no right side up.
I designed the damn shirt. For me, as a right side up.
See,
no. The shirt has a way.
I like it. I like it this way.
I was going to ask Spiro in how if he could define and identify himself as an artist in which capacity, but he just told us he's just that experience of living an embodiment of a moment through an action is the act of art making.
Indeed. Living the experience, living the art. And as Harmony was saying before, such an opportunity to pull in from so many of the different traditions and practices that inspire us both. And then also for me to pull in the art, the performance, the yoga, the spirituality, the travel, the community, the friendship, like all that stuff. It's such a great opportunity to just like, because I go through times in life, I lived quite a diverse life. And sometimes those different parts of me feel somewhat fractured and even polarized. So to have these opportunities to pull it all together, both the practices and inspirations, as well as the different crafts and things that we do, it's really very powerful for me. It's also very healing on a lot of levels.
One thing I wanted to say about the coins. Well, we can talk. I wanted to talk something special about the coins at some point.
Go ahead.
Tell me something special about the coin.
I want to hear. I want to hear.
Well, the coins. I mean, first of all, they make a great sound, which I don't think we can hear, and we'll have to make some videos, some like ASMR style videos of just the sounds of the coin. But it's also like a charged object, a metal object that is activated not just by putting it on your temple or in your spiritual zone, but also activated by the act of giving, because it is a coin. And so in some sense, the letting go of it and the giving it up to someone else who may actually want some of that light charges it, not just for you, but for everyone who holds the coins, and in a sense keeps it alive. And so I think that's a cool thing about coins in this sense versus the coins that you collect and hold as your own thing. This one is activated not only by giving it to Ganesh or whoever's on your altar, but giving it to others who might be in need or might actually be inspired by the same activity, have a light, an inspiration, a hope that they want to carry.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Right on.
I'm so selfish. I just want one for me.
That's why I'm letting them come along for stuff like that. I'm bringing them along.
I wonder if you could circle back around to the tarot again and talk to us a bit about the tower and the star, which unfortunately was cut off a little bit earlier. And if it wouldn't be too onerous a task, if you could just dive in one more time to us as if we were completely different people, which of course 10 minutes into the future we are.
Exactly. I mean, the tower really came while the beginning of summer, things were looking grim astrologically, but they were also looking grim politically, environmentally, governmentally, all these type of things, business-wise. And so what we were thinking is that the world's crumbling in various levels. And in a sense, I'm also crumbling. My ideals, my own sense of self sometimes is falling apart. I mean, as I'm pulled into caring for my father and seeing parts of myself that I'm uncomfortable with, seeing them activated from a mirror of myself, I was like, the tower is happening. Things are crumbling. And it is a fire that's burning, and swaha to the fire. Let the offerings pervade, but that's not the end. And so what's after that in the major arcana is a twilight. Before the sunrise, there's like a star, and there's a beautiful Devi that's bathing. and using her jugs basically, and in
Jugs.
a jugs are
Prisms.
kumbhas basically.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Kumbhas, using her kumbhas, her
It's a pod.
what? Anyways, Pamela Coleman Smith, in her classic rendition of The Star, is a woman who's bathing underneath the star at the river or at water. One foot is in the water, one foot is on the land. And it's interesting because the Devi, the Ganga Devi, is classically pictured riding a crocodile or various monsters, a river monster that David drew for us, which is an embodiment of the 16th card, the tower trembling. And in this case, Devi Ma has allowed us to ride with her on the monster and to use what has tumbled and what tumbles and what eats us as our ride through the light of the star and the inspiration that we all share. And so those type of hopes and blessings that the star brings for a new time is what really inspired us to get together, and Barry and I to like try to get along with each other enough to do our spiritual practices together. And
An almost impossible asceticism.
I feel like you two are an old married couple.
I can
though.
play the podcast.
But okay, so I'm gonna buy a shirt from you. Now, what are you gonna do with the shirt?
May I, Spiros?
please.
So the shirts, along with our other items, will be consecrated at the Ganges River. The project is called Bathed, Beaten, and Blessed. The shirts and us will be bathed in the Ganges River, which is said to remove past karmas and impurities. They'll be washed and beaten against the stones to get rid of any residue that might be left behind.
You as well be beaten against the stones.
Well, metaphorically.
Oh.
Yeah, like rigid stones that become
listen,
rounded and soft.
I have to share a room with Spiros. That's like getting beaten against the rocks. No, we intentionally stay in the same room just to for all that. And then the shirts will be brought into different temples for a blessing ceremony. So we're taking the shirts and taking them through this act of consecration and transformation and turning them really into a talisman, into a blessed item that when the recipient wears the shirt, they will be carrying that blessing with them. And also, they're made in a limited edition. There's a series of 108 shirts only. So like the beads on a mala, 108 beads, the 108 recipients and the 108 people create a prayer. Right? They create a complete and closed circle. And so that's why we like to work with that number of 108. And so that's the as you can see, I have one here. There's a little bit of a closer look of the Devi riding her beautiful crocodile
Marika.
And then the back has the bathed, beaten, blessed, and then gently down Ganges River, and then each shirt will be hand numbered. The shirt was made for us, custom made for us by our friends at a place called One Golden Thread. It's such the cotton, it's organic stretch cotton. The fit, the cut is really nice. It's a sexy t-shirt. And then on the inside, little secret, printed inside, right behind the heart, there's a mala with a prayer poem manifesto about our shared vision with it was amazing. This company, One Golden Thread, their ethos of the golden thread that runs through all their shirts is the same like ours with the stream, and they work in series of 108. It was really an ideal fit. And I'm really happy. We just got the shirts a couple of days ago. We kind of nailed it.
I was already going to buy one, but now I'm going to buy one before anyone else can.
It's a nice keepsake. No, they're going. Our stuff does.
I know, it takes off.
They will sell out. And we're offering some other things, opportunities for people who want to participate in the prayer level. We'll do remote prayers for people, and we might expand our offerings as things take off. It was for whatever reason. I mean, we're going to India during the Kumbh Mela. The production of it's just a t-shirt. Everything took months. Everything has been taken quite a while, but we stuck with it, and I'm proud of what we did, what we created, Spiros. So I feel like we're in good form. We're in good form. We're planning to leave on January 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
And we'll do a few stops before to prepare ourselves. And then we're meeting a small group of friends in Varanasi at the banks of the Ganges, and we'll be together with that group for 10 days. And that 10 days kind of lays over two of the main bathing days at the Kumbh Mela, where the energy is just like, we're really timing it to do our consecration and rituals when everything is dialed up and amplified.
That's when the beating off will happen.
That's
Do you already have your temples picked out? Do you know the spots where you're going to get them blessed, or are you just going to find babas and see what happens?
We know some temples that we will go to ask permission to be there and ask for guidance, but we're kind of also, it's not whimsy that we're following, but we're following the thread, the golden thread in a sense. And so we don't have exact knowledge of where we're going to be or how we're going to make it exactly to not very many kilometers north the river, but it's a whole different thing this year with Modi going also to Kumbh Mela. So it's like there's checkpoints along the way, and so it's a whole maze. But at the very end of Kumbh Mela comes to Varanasi. Like for Mahashivaratri, everyone comes down and the completion is at Varanasi. So we know that they will come. Kumbh Mela will come to us if we don't make it up to them.
But Modi's only going one day, right? Like a couple days? He's not going for the whole thing.
No.
It's Modi. He's unpredictable. Don't put Modi in a corner.
There's a great performance art exercise that's called from the Dadaists, and it's really taking advantage of the randomness that is the universe and how it operates, and it's very much like just following the Tao. Is you could give yourself like a folded up piece of random instructions: go left, walk up the stairs, then walk 100 feet. And then you just arrive and you open up the piece of paper and you just follow the instructions and just let the randomness of those choices inform what happens to you. And I think it's whether you do that or not is not important to me. But what's so interesting is that you're following that spirit of that golden thread, as you said, of just letting the universe inform how the operation will commence.
Indeed. The first time we went, we had absolutely no roadmap, right? People forget, 2005 was the infancy of the internet. And when we first started meeting for this project, we were talking about how we were really pushing the edges of social media payment platforms, things that are all set up now, Shopify, PayPal, social media. Like we had plans to do, we really meant to follow us along. We will live feed along with this project, and everything from PayPal payment portal, they literally called us up, right? Back in those days. And we're like,
they held our money.
Right? They're like, what are you guys doing? They wouldn't give us our money. They're like, what are you guys doing? And we explained the project, and they had to call us back. Like, sorry, that doesn't fit within our guidelines. That's not what we're set up for. If somebody purchases something, they need to get it straight away. So we explained. So we ended up having to send people a token. We're like, we're going to give them a token, and the token is redeemable later for that T-shirt. And then once we got to India, we started in Haridwar. Once we got north of Rishikesh in the Himalayas, we had no internet, nothing, and I lost the card for the camera, and it was like 10 days of complete blackout. And everybody just thought we took their money and left. But we got it together, we got it done. Now we nailed it. And the second time, so we had a little bit more of a template, knew what we were getting into the second time. But when we went to Varanasi in 2015, we brought just a printed T-shirt, and we did a lot of augmentation on the T-shirt. We had the label printed there and some beadwork done, so that was a lot of effort. So this time now we know a little bit more what we're getting ourselves into. We
also got a lot of the swamis and people, they were totally into the project. We suddenly had all these people that were helping us with Ganga Ma and they were like calling each other, and we were in the other forces' hands entirely.
We had
So
some
amazing.
our friend Robert Moses put us in touch with some swamis in Uttarkashi, and we showed up there with the project, and they were a little standoffish at first, like, who are these two gringos coming here and what are they up to? But little by little, with more time and understanding what we were getting into, they embraced us and we embraced them. I love that crew. All this
That's amazing.
Shivananda Swamis up in Uttarkashi.
Yeah, they took us all the way up to Gangotri. They like made phone calls. They got us places. They really like
They
opened up
arranged for our
doors for
blessing
us.
ceremony. We did the blessing
Yep.
ceremony at the temple
Yeah.
in Gomukh, which was at Gangotri. And then we hiked to Gomukh. Now it's
Wow.
fantastic. Yeah.
Incredible.
And also, I haven't been to India in probably 6 years. This is like the longest stretch since my first trip that I haven't been back to India. Yeah. Yeah. After so many years, I've spent like 15 years of my life, at least 2-3 months a year in India the last few years.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me go see a few other places in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm excited to go back, especially
Yeah.
Kumbh Mela.
And it's the Maha Kumbh Mela too. It's the big one.
Big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 12 times 12?
It's
12
only every 12 years, but they do like a little one every 4 years.
I see. So it's
Mini-
not
mini-
144.
Yeah, they do mini melas every 3 or 4 years, I think. I'm not sure.
I think it's every 3 years in 4 different places.
Right, so it rotates 3 years in the 4 different places, and the fourth
Yeah,
place
that's
is
right.
the Maha, and it rotates out that each fourth year is in one of the different locations.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm excited. It's great. I mean, the timing is perfect. I mean, when Spiros came, I was living in Puerto Rico for the last year, and we were both going through it, man. We really we reached out to each other, and we just I was in Puerto Rico on like a self-healing journey from the last couple of years. I was feeling a little bit battered and lost. And so this project couldn't come at a better time. I need to get bathed, beaten, and blessed. And also, really, sincerely, I mean, it's such an opportunity to do something that's fun and interesting and creative, and also at the same time to be of service to the people who participate and for the greater good of humanity. I really believe in what we're doing.
Is there a way for people to, for lack of a better term, to hook up with you while you're there?
Reach out on Instagram.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Or to join the group.
You know what it is? Well, I'll be honestly. So first, I don't know what to expect, but the thing is, I mean, we started trying to book a place 6 months ago in Varanasi, and fortunately, we had somebody on the ground on the other side who was kind of concierging and helping us, a friend of a friend, who found a place. And we like to stay south, like around Asigat. It took us a while to find a place that we can get 3 rooms in together. And we're all the way north on like the north end of Varanasi, where I never stayed, a little bit outside the mayhem. So it could be really nice. But if somebody could find a room, find a place to stay in Varanasi, if they want to come by for a cup of chai or a morning yoga practice, by all means, if they want to help us carry a few shirts. But as far as like joining for the trip, that we're not taking people along. It's not set up.
We just don't have the capacity. We can barely handle ourselves.
Yeah.
Harmony mentioned the other night that she wanted to go, and I said, "There's no fucking way we're going." But you go ahead.
If Harmony, if you want to come along, you can crawl in bed with the Spiro. So we'll throw.
Spiro would love that. Yeah.
Snuggle. But seriously, like any sort of help in our guidance, we're like a mess, both of us. We're following the light, but it's going to be heaviness. There's going to be a lot of obstacles that come up. All the obstacles that we're trying to overcome in ourselves and in the world that we're trying to work with, they're going to be apparent there. And so any sort of help from our friends is crucial, really.
Well, I'd love to draw a map for you guys and some instructions, and I'll send them to you, and you see where it takes you.
By all means, by all means.
How many coins are you carrying?
Spiros?
Well, we are carrying some symbolic coins that will be melted down with the metal that we'll bring and made into coins.
Yeah, the cost of the production of the coins it's costly. They're pure silver. And so I should give a little pitch for this. They were made by our friends at Ekam Atelier. No, it's super, like really handcrafted. It took a while, a few different, because one side is raised and embossed, the other side is engraved. So it was quite a process of embossing, molding, engraving, and it took a few tries to get it right. So that was quite costly, and the coins themselves are costly. And we also can't predict how many people are going to want those. The shirts are limited edition. The coins will make as many as people want. So we'll be taking like some mother coins with us, along with some silver that will go through a consecration process, sent back, smelted down, and then whatever as many coins as we make will be made from that mother batch.
See, that's where I see the real problem in this whole thing is
Yes.
you're going to be arrested with holding silver and trying to import silver into the country. Like that's a key point there.
Yeah, my attorneys are on standby. We keep some money in escrow, both for our shipping and packing when we get back, and for legal fees.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
And what is there any other talisman items that you're bringing on this trip?
Currently, the offerings are the T-shirt, the coin. Also, we're going to be ethically taking a strand of the larger Rudraksha beads, and those will be taken apart, and then you can get some Ganga water and a Rudraksha bead. And then also offering people remote prayers where people can submit their prayers. And when the time is right, their prayers will possibly all be read aloud and also written and put in the home of fire.
Wow. You guys are like
we've
modern
gotten
day.
some heavy ones. We've gotten some heavy ones too already.
wow.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
People are submitting prayers for deceased relatives and people. I don't know if the email it's so people who who participate in the prayer level, I send them a form to submit their prayer, and it says make it count.
I love it.
Yeah. And so we're staying open. We did want to do, we had when we first met, we had a lot of different ideas, and then we kind of narrowed it down to what felt right. And also, as I said, the production was challenging. I've been on the road. Spiros has been dealing with his dad. So we kind of like stripped the project down a little bit to like, let's do what we can do basics. Originally, we were going to do a copper, silver, and gold coin.
Oh, wow.
Now that we have the mold, we might still do that. And we also open once we get to India, if there's an enthusiasm around the project and we come across some item that we feel is proper, we'll put it all through consecration.
We'll bathe, beat, and bless anything.
Exactly. As Spiro said to me when we first started talking about it, he goes, "We're in the consecration business."
I was gonna say, you guys are kind of like artist, eccentric Western pujaris now.
Always.
It's a niche market.
Consecrators.
Consecrators.
Consecrated.
Yeah. It started with the tea, it moved to the t-shirts, and now it's like full pilgrimage.
Yeah. No, it's natural progression.
You have little Ishta Devatas that are going to have like a little bathing ceremony when you're there. Do you have?
We'll gather up all the things that we feel are necessary. We also have some really good friends, an Italian friend who's coming with us. He's kind of like our Ishta Devata.
Okay, good. Yeah. A living Ishta Devata that you'll bathe and clothe every day.
Yeah.
We have Ishta Devatas. We have practices.
He's the real yogi.
Well, this is our living present God. And we have to keep him, quiet at night, locked up. So that's good.
Yeah, he's primed.
There's also the sun that goes into Capricorn. Capricorn is also about manifesting and bringing down to earth. And then the sun is sort of in our heart in some of the old Hatha Yoga texts. And so it's a sun that we all share, but it's in each of our hearts. And I think of that a lot as a guiding principle, not the star, but it is a star from other galaxies, in a sense. So I bring that as an Ishta Devata as well. I mean, it's a scalding, not always kind, but it gives the life that we have on this planet. So it's in our heart. So I like that equation.
Nice. I'm going to give us a close up just to show. So this area of this area of the design. So this is the constellation of Capricorn, and this is the star. So the Devi, as Spiros was describing, that tarot card of the goddess riding out her monster demon at the banks of the river, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, underneath the star.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
My
And
my ex-wife was a Capricorn and also a scouting, grounding presence in my life.
Also on that picture, there's
All right.
also the three rivers, the three rivers
And
that
yes, those are the
which
three
meet.
rivers coming out of the Kumbh. You could see here's our Kumbh pot,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
three rivers being poured out.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It looks just like Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Do you think you'll make
Wow.
it up to Prayog? Is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. We originally thinking about doing it with the whole group. Our concierge had made it sound quite simple that we could take a boat upriver and be day trippers, and we have some people on site at the Mela that would host us for the day or even overnight. But then as time progressed, the guy was like, might not be so easy. So we decided, let's just get there and then see what things feel like. Let's see what the reality on the ground is. We might get there and find out you could get in a car and drive up and down for the day, and it's not a big thing. And it might also be a thing. And so we have time. Like I said, we have that 10-day period where we're going to be with our friends at the river, and we have time before and or after to might be easier for just the two of us to go on our own and
Yeah. Sneak in and sneak out.
Magics.
put us down and
Slippery.
get a wristband and get somebody to give me a wristband or like
Yeah.
the lick
The
stamp.
Invisibles. We're like the Invisibles.
Spiros is on the list. He's on the guest list.
Yeah. I'm so curious. So it's 40-day festival. How many days will you be in India? Will you be there for the whole festival?
We will. We're going to be there
Wow.
during the course of the whole festival. We might. It's like I said, it's open. We're open. It depends. We're going to land in Bombay and see some friends there and get grounded and do a few personal things we want to take care of for the first week or so, and then really the rest is like we have those 10 days booked. I think that's Jan 26th to Feb 4th or something around those dates. And then before and after, really, it's like we like to stay open and see, we might come across something or a temple that we want to visit or something that's happening elsewhere to get us in frequency.
And above.
Yeah.
And then Shivaratri is sort of the cap of that, So then after Shivaratri, we'll come back.
Shivaratri is the after party.
After party.
It's the final crunch of wakefulness. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some gonzo journalism about your time in
Yeah, can people follow along your adventures
Yeah, we're gonna be our social Instagram Spiros. If you notice, we're getting new followers. It's happening. So people
Instagram.
on our personal and the Gently Down Project Instagram. Perhaps you could post the links for the website and our Instagram.
We will.
Share all
certainly
that.
will.
And no, we're gonna do our best.
There's a Substack also that will be posting
Substack also.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spiros loves the Substack.
I don't love it, but it's convenient. It's easy.
And we certainly plan. I mean, that's the whole point. Like we're going to be posting the whole process as much as we can. And it's going to be it's going to be great. It's going to be.
But we can do long form with Substack. We can do ASMR. We can do the soft sounds of things.
That's right.
Well,
I'm really looking forward to that.
I love and adore you two gentlemen so much. You're the wackiest motherfuckers we get. And I just really appreciate the time. I appreciate that you reached out to us, that you wanted to talk to us at all. It's enormously flattering to us that you give us any sort of attention, and it's amazing.
You're the only people who would take us.
Another way of saying thank you, and I'm
thank you both for your. I mean, we know each other. We're like 25 years going on right now. Yeah, it's been a nice ride, and so happy. I'm so glad that we're still in touch. One of the great blessings of our Ashtanga yoga life has been the community. I mean, we really like those friendships are so solid. And thanks for your patience with dealing with our technical difficulties.
Yes.
I was just a little baby going to your chai stand in 2000 and 2001 when Guruji was coming. It was just awesome. Like you guys already looked exactly fully formed and realized, and just like, wow, this is who I want to be when I grow up.
That was just so amazing. What a fun conversation. I learned so much, and I hope you did too. If you would love to go deeper and take your practice off your yoga mat and into your life, into the world, starting to learn more about pranayama, developing a regular practice, chanting, tuning into the vibrations and the Sanskrit mantras, as well as looking at some of the more esoteric philosophical concepts, come on in to my Inner Circle mentorship. This is a private community that's online. I offer weekly Mysore classes in addition to these monthly workshops and special programs. And you can find out all the information when you join the Finding Harmony community. Head on over to community-harmonyslater.com. Join the community and come on into my Inner Circle mentorship. I would love for you to be a part of this beautiful space and start growing into the full richness of this yoga practice together with me. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.